Hello, y'all. Welcome back for another live and another video. So, this video is going to be about how to have a better relationship with your mother. One, the first way to do that is watch the live that I just did about your mother and your home. So, in that video, I stated that I would also point out how to have a better relationship with your mother. So I didn't really get fully into it. So I'm doing that portion on this video. So this video is how to have a better relationship with your mother. Okay, so number one, recognize that that is who she is. And this is for grandmothers and mothers, y'all. I want to specify this is for grandmothers and mothers. How to have a better relationship with your mother and grandmother. So, number one, recognize that that is your mother or grandmother. Recognize, number two, that you would not be in existence without your mother bringing you in the world. Three, do not, no matter how mad your mother or grandmother makes you, do not curse, yell, hit, or fight your grandmother or mother when they are not hitting you. And if possible, if your mother or grandmother is hitting you and you are not in fear of your life, just flee the scene. Try to avoid having a physical confrontation with your mother or grandmother. Number four or next would be accept, especially if you have a mother or grandmother that is atheist or not very spiritual, accept that this situation will not usually change and will and can get worse. That is why you gotta watch my video. The live I just did about your mother and your home is what I named it. Okay. Number five, try not to talk about them real bad to other people. Okay. So if you ever notice when I mention my mother and grandmother, I try to always state something positive and remain the dignity or carry some kind of dignity in what I'm talking about, right? So keeping the dignity, okay? Number six or next. I'm trying to like count these out this time. Thank you so much for the like and thank you for everyone that's tuned into the live. Number six, let go of the past. In a human way, forgive. True forgiveness is something that God really does. We're taught that it's a human power, but it's more of a God power. And the reason I feel that way is because humans remember. Okay, so you're gonna remember what your mother and grandmother did, so you can let it go to get it out of your mind for the time being and allow God to forgive them. Ask the Lord, the one most high, to forgive your mother and grandmother for what they did to you, whether they did it on purpose or not on purpose. Hello to VIP Boss 009. I am doing excellent. I'm doing excellent. How are you doing? Thank you so much for asking. I don't always get that a lot. Oh, what I'm talking about is how to have a better relationship with your mother and grandmother. However, this is very important, right? For you to go in and watch my live that I did about your mother and your home. And in that live, I'm specifying why not to let your mother and grandmother in your house. So in this video, I'm talking about how to have a better relationship with your mother. And one way you can have a better relationship with your mother and grandmother is by not allowing them in the home and continuing to have a relationship with them outside of your home. That way, it de escalates the situation. You want to keep all your abusers out of your residence, inclusive of your mother and grandmother. However, I am supporting having a relationship with them because I continue to have one with my mother and grandmother, even though they had some issues. Okay. Hello to hold on. Akire Zayn channel. Am I pronouncing that right? I like y'all channel names. Akire Zayn channel. Hello to you. Welcome to the live. And again, thank you so much for the likes. So again, back to how to have a better relationship with your mother. Don't always feel the need to overshare things that you remember from your childhood. Okay, I'll give you one example. With my mother, there was a particular situation where my mother left me at a babysitter. Okay, went to a whole nother state, y'all. Can you imagine? Friday comes and you waiting on your mother to come back and get you, and she in Chicago with some dude that I don't remember meeting or never met. So I was left at a babysitter's house. Left in the left there for almost a week. It ended up in the basement, y'all. Thank God it wasn't worse. It could have been way worse. Okay, so it was a bad situation. I discussed the situation with my auntie Bertia at the time. Not at the time it happened, but later. My auntie Bertia, she was like, "Oh my God, you remember that?" And I did. I remembered. I was able to answer some of my auntie Bertia questions that she had. She didn't bring it up because she didn't want to hurt me. There was things that she wanted to know about the situation that I was able to answer because I was there. But one of the ways I had a better relationship with my mother is I never discussed this with my mother. I never was like, I was not the type of child like my son Elijah, right? Now, my son Elijah, if I had did that to him, you ain't even got to do that to my son Elijah. I've done lives with my son Elijah. Y'all got to watch my lives, okay? My lives, Elijah's on my lives talking crap to me. Now, my son Elijah would have been, "Bitch ass fucker, you left me at the babysitter, bitch. Motherfucking hoe ass bitch. I was down there motherfucking weak, bitch." I wasn't that type of child. I was way too intelligent to act like that, right? So the way I handled it is, instead of handling it the Elijah way, I handled it the Irene way. So I never discussed it with my mother. I actually let it go. And I never moved back in her house at any age to allow her to leave me at another babysitter house, okay? So I like okay, thank you so much, Chad Watson. Oh, you did the laughing face. Yeah, thank you, the laughing crying. Yeah, that's how. Yeah, Elijah is still alive. Yes, he is. And if you go back, what will be the most interesting to you, Chad? And I'm not saying this just because I want views. This will help you. Is to go through my lives and listen to how he talks about me and talks to me. I got him recorded and everything. He even wished that a witch. He got a witch friend that's gonna put a death curse on me. And it's funny you would ask Chad Watson, is he still alive? Because that curse will be put on his ass before me. But I use him as a good example to show an example, okay, an example of how not to act. And this ain't advanced fake channel, right? This is advanced insight channel, so it's not advanced fake channel. So I like to give realistic examples. That's why I can teach and lecture and mentor and stuff like that, because I have real live experience. And like if you watch the last live, this is basically like a part 2 of the last live I just did, because I talked about your mother in your home. So that's the first thing. One of the things in having a better relationship with your mother is, in some cases, they don't come in your home. That way it salvages the relationship. Okay, so go watch that video after this video. But Elijah, the stuff my mother and grandmother has done to me, I could never do to Elijah. Okay, so I know that he would have been talking shit to my mother and grandmother. My mother and grandmother would have murdered Elijah. He would not even be here right now. Okay, and what I have to do is remember that I'm my mother's and grandmother's child. So what I do with Elijah is, in this case, even though this is about how to have a better relationship with your mother, one of the ways I have the best relationship possible with my son Elijah is I keep him out of my home. Yeah, but I like how you did the crying, laughing, Chad Watson, because that's how the man be talking to me. Go through my lives. You will hear him. He talks to me. You ain't heard it. Trust me. I have to stay calm. I stay calm with Elijah, so I stay up out the penitentiary, y'all. You know, because I'm not really a bad mother. And he tells me I was a good mother and still talks shit to me because he has a drug problem, y'all. It's a drug problem, is what it is. He was not that way until he started smoking marijuana, vape, and pills and alcohol. That's when he switched up and suddenly turned into an undiagnosed psychopath. Very disrespectful. I don't need it in my life. So, yeah, how to have a better relationship with your mother. Don't act like my son Elijah. And then wonder why I can't come to your house, bitch. Stupid ass bitch. Fuck you then, hoe. I don't need to come to your house, bitch. I don't need that in my life. So how to have a better relationship with your mother is to not act like Elijah. That's the truth of the matter. And so going back to my tactic with my mother, there were certain things that I remembered. One example would be the babysitter situation. I remembered being left there. And I just didn't argue with my mother about it. It's not going to change the situation, right? I just thank the Lord that something worse didn't happen. Let me see. Chad Watson says, my mom and dad just celebrated their 49th wedding anniversary on the 4th. It's just me and my brother. My mom and dad sacrificed so much. Love them both dearly. Yes, yes. So you're very fortunate. So Chad Watson, you know, in your case, you didn't have a physically abusive family. There was no assaults of you where you were put in the hospital. My situation was, it was a mixture of some good and bad. And I wouldn't be the person I am today if it wasn't for my mother and grandmother. My grandmother provided a home for me my entire life. My mother provided a lot of spirituality. She provided a home as well, y'all, part of my life. They did good, but in my situation, it was best for me to keep them out of my home so that I could have a good relationship with them. And I just went to their home to visit. They never questioned me about it. My mother and grandmother was aware of what they deserved and what they didn't deserve. And I think they knew that in some sense they didn't deserve to be in my place. They knew it would be trouble, and I knew it would be trouble. So I just kept that boundary. Go back and watch the live I just did. I might even add on there part one or something. I don't know. Um, let me see. Chad Watson says, well, blessings to you and better days ahead, ma'am. Yes, they're both deceased now. My mother and grandmother are both deceased. I've grieved over them already. They've been deceased many, many years. So it ain't nobody to bring in my home no more. Anyway, they not even alive. So be grateful that your parents are still alive. And you know what, Chad Watson and everyone, this will help you have a better relationship with your mother, because I'm gonna give some tactics and advice on some things that will make the relationship better. So to have a better relationship with your mother and grandmother, hang out with them without the grandkids. Mom and grandmother, spend individual time with them where it's just y'all and it's not always all the kids around. Treat your mother and grandmother like they're an individual. Call them more. Get them a gift or birthday card. Express your feelings to them in a positive way without cussing at them. And say, you know, I would like for you to call me too, mother and grandmother, or something to that degree. Listen to them when they're talking. Okay, so if you're in a phone conversation or even in person, let them finish what they're saying to you. If your mother or grandmother snaps out on you and they start just cussing and acting crazy and they lose their temper, politely say, I'm going to remove myself from the situation, ma'am. Defend your mother and grandmother to other people. I still do that to this day. I think on one of my videos, I even expressed, you know, how my cousin would call. She mentioned that my grandmother was mentally ill. And I defended my grandmother on one of my videos. I said, well, my grandmother probably thinks my cousin is mentally ill because she doesn't own a restaurant. And she ain't that rich, financially rich. Oh, Chad Watson, thank you. So you just went to a Chad Watson just went to a family reunion with my mom and brother. Really helpful, positive advice. Thank you so much. Please subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, Chad Watson. You're leaving some very positive comments that I really like, and I could use more of that on this channel. That helps set an example of how to act on a channel, because sometimes I have a couple of people that come in here that can be disrespectful. There's this one young lady that comes in here. She's like 22 years old, and she's quite disrespectful. So you know, other positive people coming in here leaving better comments will probably kind of help her as well. So yeah, so Chad Watson, thank you so much. So reminding your mother and grandmother that you do love them. Okay. Not just saying it when you want something from them. I did this one very, very good, y'all. Once I moved out of town, I never asked my mother and grandmother for any money. I didn't ask for anything. Never. Not one time did I ever ask my mother and grandmother for any money. So that allowed us to have the most genuine relationship possible, because they didn't need to take care of me anymore. That was also my way of showing my mother and grandmother that I was very grateful for everything that they had already done for me. I don't need y'all money. I'm showing them I'm an adult. I'm on y'all level now. I don't need you financially. And they knew that every call that came in for me came from the heart. That came from me, came from the heart, because I wasn't calling for money. I did not stay the night at their homes. When I visited my mother and grandmother homes, the way I kept a good relationship with them is not staying the night. Now, at my grandmother's home, I would have been allowed to stay the night, but I refused. So I had a better relationship with my grandmother by not staying the night at the new homes that she moved in and new apartments that she moved in once her restaurant closed. So with my mother, she knows I wasn't staying the night at her house at all. Okay. So I did not stay the night at their homes. I never dumped my kids off on my mother and grandmother. I understood their tempers and I just didn't put myself or my kids through that. I always met my mother and grandmother at their level, and I was always very understanding of how they were. I accepted who they were, but that doesn't mean I have to tolerate who they are. I don't have to tolerate it. But I did process it and accept it, even during an age and time when we were not using the word narcissist as we are now. And I'm not sure if my grandmother and mother were narcissists. I'm just saying they did things that some narcissists would do. But empaths will do things that narcissists will do as well. I don't know what their personality type is, and I don't care to this day. I just know they did what they could for me. Um, did they do the best they could do? I don't believe that that was the best they could do. I think they did what they did, but it's not the best, especially for my mother. Both of them, that just wasn't the best. They could have done better. Now, would they ever fully admit they could do better? No. They just wasn't that type. They wasn't going to admit that. Before my mother died, she did say that she wished she would have spent more time with myself and my sister. She did say that. But even saying that, there was no apology for what she did. And at the end of the day, my mother could have saved her life. But she refused to go to the hospital and get treated for pneumonia. That's the bottom line. She could have been saved, y'all, and just refused to do it. So maybe she just knew she was going to die anyway and just didn't want to die at the hospital. I don't know. Another way to have a better relationship with their mother is if they pass away, help them with their funeral services. Crack jokes and say funny things. My mother had the funniest sense of humor. She would contact me and I would contact her and stuff like that. She was kind of a funny lady sometimes. Just forgive them. I mean, my mother, I would not have had the decent relationship that I had with her before she passed and throughout the years when I moved out of town if I would not have let go of the past. Okay. Except that they're boring. Like, my mother didn't get on airplanes and she wasn't a super outgoing person in the way that I was. So I accepted that my mother was different. If they're overweight, don't make fun of them. Just encourage them to exercise and get the weight down. I remember one time my mom had gained a lot of weight and she said she was stressed out. I didn't call her a bunch of fat bitches and stuff like that. That's probably what my son Elijah would do. But I wasn't like that with my mother. Having some class and character, being professional. That'll help you. You know what? In a way, you can win respect from your mother and grandmother. I was talking to my little sister on one occasion. We're in no contact, but my little sister finally mentioned to me that my grandmother actually said to her, if she was me, she would have left St. Louis, Missouri too. That surprised me that my little sister told me that. I'm like, wow, my grandmother admitted that she would have left too. My grandmother seemed to not like that I left, but at the end of the day, she told my little sister in so many words that that's a good move. You know, my grandmother left Alabama, so recognize that sometimes you're following in their footsteps. Just like my grandmother left Alabama, I left St. Louis, Missouri, and moved to the West Coast. Um, Another way to have a good relationship or a better relationship with your mother and grandmother is recognize that they cute and pretty. You know, adore the way they look. You know, look at them one day and say, "Wow, they ain't bad looking." You know, look at yourself in the mirror one day and say, "Yeah, I could see the resemblance." You know, respect that they gave you some good genes and some skin that ain't wrinkled all up and stuff. If it wasn't for your mother and grandmother, you could be looking way worse right now. If they fine, respect them for that. Even if they was crappy parents and you're not happy. Say, well, damn, at least they look good, you know? Um, Learn to pick out the things about your mother and grandmother that you can mimic and do that'll make your life better. Basically, it's kind of like this: the toxic things that you feel about them, remove that stuff, but the good you feel that they have, implement that in your life. But if you know something is completely toxic and it doesn't work, just remove it. That's all. You know, implement their systems that show it work. But the systems that don't work, that you know are crappy systems, don't do those things. Okay. Another way to have a better relationship with your mother and grandmother is if they had drug addictions. Don't don't repeat that behavior. Everybody don't need to be on drugs. So if your mother and grandmother had a drug addiction, take your power and give your life to the Lord, and don't repeat that. Just because your mother and grandmother are drug addicts, don't mean you have to be. Chad Watson says, "Me and my mom went to Tallulah Falls. We went all the way to the bottom, to the waterfalls. I couldn't step up an inch. The next day we laughed all day." Beautiful. See, Chad Watson, he has a healthy relationship with his mom. Oh, so this is another way to have a better relationship with your mother. If you don't have the type of mother that he has that's willing to do those activities with you, you have to go ahead and do those activities with other people. You cannot sit and wait around on a mother that's boring, that don't like to do anything, to do stuff with you. Chad Watson got a really blessed situation, but for those of you that don't have that situation, you gotta move on with your life. You can't sit around and be depressed and mad because you don't have Chad Watson's mother. My mother liked to read the Bible and pray over the phone and crack jokes, so I accepted that that's what she liked. I would have had to go find somebody else to go to Tallulah Falls for me. Another way to have a better relationship with your mother and grandmother is to use the situation to have a better relationship with yourself and others. So the neglect that I experienced with my grandmother and my mother, I do not tolerate it from other people. I'm not going to get in no marriage where nobody treats me that way. It made me develop a standard. So my mother and my grandmother's neglectful nature made me have a standard. I don't tolerate that bull crap from my kids. Like with Elijah, when I was talking about him, I don't deal with him, right? Because I don't have to have it in my life. I don't have to have my son Elijah. My mother, my grandmother. I don't have to have any of these disrespectful people that cannot control their temper in my home. Another way to have a better relationship with your mother and grandmother, watch using the word mentally ill. If your mother and grandmother were not formally diagnosed with something, stop calling them mentally ill, because make them accountable for what they did. Don't give them a pass and an excuse. Whatever they did to you, just say they did it, but make them accountable for what they did. When you saying, oh, they was mentally ill, they crazy, they this, you take it away from their responsibility for what they did. My grandmother was just about 50 years older than me. She knew what she was doing. I never called my grandmother mentally ill because she did exactly what she wanted to do. My grandmother was not on drugs. My grandmother was not high. My grandmother did not even drink liquor. So no, I don't call her mentally ill. She's just neglectful. She just wasn't cut out to be a super nurturing grandmother, but she was an excellent provider. Yes, she showed terms of endearment and stuff like that. Another way to have a better relationship with your mother and grandmother, look at what they eat and the healthy things that they eat and take on that nature. You know, my mother and grandmother, they had a certain level of healthy foods that they ate to this day that I eat. My mother was a salad lover, so I learned to love salads. My grandmother was a vegetable lover, and so I love vegetables. So look at what they eat and take on some of their healthy eating habits. My grandmother used to do home exercises. I do that right now to this day. So instead of hating your mother and grandmother, just take on some of their healthy habits. Totally refuse some of their habits that just was not healthy. I'm not getting ready to be no atheist and become no Eastern Star and stuff like that. I'm not getting ready to do all of that. That was some more my grandmother seemed to be more into. So let me read this comment. Chad says that my mom's mom was my heart. She passed away a few years ago now. I talk to her almost every day. So Chad is talking about his grandmother. And he talks to his grandmother almost every day. I was inconsolable all the time, but the Christian values instilled in me helped me grieve and keep going. Okay, this is another one I had. Thank you so much, Chad Watson. So the thing is, Chad Watson just gave another idea and gave another reason to better your relationship with your mother and grandmother. So remembering the Christianity and the values of that and the religion, that's another way to better your relationship with your mother and grandmother. My mother was a Christian woman. Also not holding it against your parent if they're not a Christian or a religious person. If they're decent to you, and even though they're not a religious person, don't hate them for it. I'm sorry. I hope your grandmother's in heaven, Chad Watson, and I'm sorry that she's not on earth with you anymore. But hopefully y'all will meet again in heaven one day. And I understand being inconsolable. I was inconsolable when my mother and grandmother both passed away. They passed away, let me see, how many years apart? Within 4 years apart. My grandmother passed away first, and then 4 years later, my mother passed away. So, yeah, remembering those values. Another way to have a better relationship with your mother and grandmother is don't cry forever when they pass. I mean, that's not what they really want for you. Your mother and grandmother does not want you living in a hell on earth because you're crying every day and every night and every week and every month and for years. That's not what they want for you. Going forward, 90 days grieving time, y'all, over people. The crying part. The crying part, 90 days. That's it. You got to do sad management. I have a playlist about it where I talk about sad management. You were not put here to be crying every day over anybody. Like my son Daniel says, Mom, you got to let the dead go. Daniel is a earth sign, and he says you got to let the dead go. He's very down to earth, y'all. And I commend him for that thought. You know, my son Daniel, he's helped me grieve a lot over death. Because he said, you got to let the dead go, Mom. Another way to have a better relationship with your mother and grandmother is remember and maybe write down some of their things they said to you, the good. If you have a horrific, dangerous situation where you've been stabbed, shot, killed, paralyzed by your mother or grandmother, in those cases, accept that your only choice is to be in no contact. You got to accept that the Lord did not give you Chad Watson's mother and grandmother. He got a good deal. And I'm liking it because this video is about having a better relationship with your mother and grandmother. So Chad Watson, by leaving these comments, he's able to prove that that's possible. He's proving that it's very much possible. I mentioned earlier with the violence, you know, not fighting your mother. Just never hit your mother and grandmother. That's the worst thing you can do. Cursing at them. You make this person become like an arch enemy of yours, and they just won't respect you. You know, the respect of your parent and grandparent is very supportive, and it helps your self-esteem. So because of the fact that I didn't curse and fight my mother and grandmother, I felt this certain level of respect from them that they seemed to have for me. And I liked it because that's important for your mother and grandmother to have basic respect for you. It's something that I don't have for my son Elijah. I respect him to a certain degree because I respect me. So if I say, okay, I'm not going to cuss this man out and go off or send him a bad text message, I'm more so respecting myself. But I do not respect Elijah. I talked about this in another video where all that you ain't got a favorite. Yes, you should. And your favorite should not be the child that's cussing you out, that's on drugs, talking shit, and trying to destroy the rest of his siblings. Elijah is not my favorite. I don't care about that narcissistic, I got to treat them all the same. I can't do that. They ain't all acting the same. I cannot treat nobody that's talking to me like I'm not shit. I cannot treat them the same as a kind-hearted person. Does that sound fair to you? Somebody that's talking to you like shit, you treat them exactly the same as a good-hearted person? That's crazy. That makes absolutely no sense. I'm going to treat the good-hearted person better. They're going to get a more gentle side to me. When they call me, I won't hang up. I'm not going to block their number out my phone. So I hope this makes sense. A lot of things that we were taught in the past, you think it's empathic, but it's not. And one of the things that's been taught in the past that's not empathic is you treat everybody the same. You just don't kill them. That's all. Don't go beat them down and get locked up. But you cannot treat mean people the same as you do kind people. Because mean people, eventually you're going to have to go no contact. But you want to keep contact with the kind people. Your contact with mean assholes should be minimal. So let me see. I got another comment from Chad Watson. He says, Saturday is my sad day where I just stay to myself and cry. If that's what emotion comes to a head. I agree with your take on 90 days and moving on, because that's what your loved one wants for you. Yes, exactly, Chad Watson. You want to use sad management. One of the things, okay, I don't know you personally and I haven't known you long, but one thing I can say, Chad Watson, is your grandmother does not want you sad. So this is another way to have a better relationship with your grandmother. In Chad Watson's case, whether it be your grandmother or your mother, stop crying. Have a time limit on it, and you want to reverse those tears into good memories. So see, now when I don't cry about my mother and grandmother no more. I think of the funny stuff and the good stuff and I smile. So I'm having a better relationship with my grandmother and mother even in their death. Because they ain't dead. Their soul is still out there somewhere. They're not really dead. People don't die. So that's another reason to have a better relationship with them, by recognizing they ain't dead anyway. That's why they have a soul that goes on to another destination. Alan Watts talks a lot about this in some of his videos, how death ain't even real, y'all. It's not. It's just like something that's not really legitimate. You can look up Alan Watts, Allan, and then the last name Watts, Alan Watts. I love his videos. I learned a lot about death from him. So thank you so much for all the comments, Chad Watson. So Chad Watson, can you think of any other ways to give me on how to have a better relationship with your mother and grandmother? What are some of the strategies you use to have a better relationship? What, I know you mentioned like family reunion. Because another thing, you want to people that have good relationships with their mothers and grandmothers, ask them and implement it in your life. Like Chad Watson said, family reunions. Not being so argumentative is another way to have a better relationship with your mother and grandmother. When my grandmother found out I was staying on the West Coast and I called and told her, she wished bad on me. She said, I hope something bad happened to you. I didn't say nothing back. Just don't say anything. Have a better relationship with your mother and grandmother by just not responding to it. She just was mad because I wasn't around anymore. So just let it go. Don't argue with them. Because all it does, it makes the parent just say it more. Soon as you respond, they just gonna say more negative, toxic, evil stuff. So just don't say anything. I recognize so DK DJ, you said Shay was just mad. Damn girl. What does that mean? JK DJ. What are you talking about? Who was just mad? Who is Shay? Because I don't know who Shay is. There's a YouTuber by the name of JK DJ. This video is about how to have a better relationship with your mother and grandmother. I don't know who Shay is. Who is Shay? Okay. So anyway, JK DJ, are you close to your mother and grandmother? Would you like to give a suggestion on how to have a better relationship with your mother and grandmother? Because we can use suggestions now. In general, watching what you say to them will help as well. Chad Watson, yes, spending time with positive people. Okay. Chad Watson says, yes, spending time with positive people. Your circle of people around you should be light and small. Yes, yes. Okay, I would agree with that. Okay, so Chad Watson, when you say spending time with positive people, you mean so are you saying that when you spend time with other positive people that made you a better person for your grandmother and mother to be around? Is that what you're saying? So are you saying, Chad Watson, because of the positive people you were around that helped you be positive so you could treat your grandmother and mother with respect? I just want to clarify that that's what you mean. Because I believe that will help you have more respect for your mother and grandmother. I truly believe that. It will help you have a better relationship if you have a circle of people, and sometimes you can have a large circle of good people around you. Moving out of town helps y'all too. I truly believe that I had a actual better relationship with my mother and grandmother because I was out of town. They can't control you and stuff like that. My mother and grandmother were very neglectful. But I was able to take both of their good traits and kind of like put it together to make them like one whole person. That's what helped me. That helped me a lot. At the end of the day, they allowed me to be the individual I was going to be. I have a better relationship with my mother and grandmother by making sure that I took heed to their positive advice, taking my power and control in my life as well, taking heed to their advice, but seeing the part that I needed to do in the advice helped me out a lot. It just did. So, does anybody have any suggestions? Buying your mother and grandmother gifts, mailing them something. I remember that I mailed my mother this big old card one time, right? It was this big floor size Mother's Day card. It got shredded up in this storage that destroyed all my things and some of my personals, but I still will never forget that big card I sent my mother. Make sure you always keep an updated address with your mother and grandmother. Let them know where you're at. Just don't have a angry heart with them. That's all. Don't have an angry heart. Be grateful for the fact that your mother and grandmother did not use heavy drugs when they were pregnant with you. Okay, so Chad Watson says, I mean, if you're around people that have respect and you are positive, it will keep you focused and honest. Amen. Just like hanging around a hoodlum and you up in jail or prison or that grave. Yeah. And I'm dealing with that with my son Daniel that's incarcerated right now. Thank God he's not in a grave. My son Daniel is a Christian man, God-fearing young teenager, but he is incarcerated, and I've done lives about that. So that's very much real. So I'm going to validate what Chad Watson is saying because it's very true. I got an incarcerated son right now that's making positive changes. He's been on my lives. Go through my lives. I display certain aspects of my family to help y'all. And you'll very much see that the advice I give, I follow it to the best of my ability. Yep. So keep up the great work, Chad Watson, and be grateful. Oh, another thing that will help have a you have a better relationship with your mother and grandmother if you stop comparing your situation to other people. That's one thing I never did with my mother and grandmother. I never expected them to be somebody else's mother. When I interacted with my mother, I'm aware I got friends. They got fully dedicated mothers. They live with their mothers. Their mothers provide a home. They get along with their mothers. I used to go stay the night with very good people, family members and non-blood relatives. And I understood that they had more of a dedicated mother than I did. I never did the comparison thing. I wasn't mad at my friend because her mother was in the home with her, and I wasn't mad at my mother. I wasn't mad with any of these people. I just moved on with my life. And because of that, I had a better relationship with my mother because I was able to see the good in my mother. Whatever good was there, I was able to be grateful for that good and realize that it could be something in my mother that's not even in my friend's mother. And her mother's in the house every day. I had friends where their mothers was not preachers and spiritual women, but my mother was. So I was very grateful for that. Not doing the comparison thing. You'll never be happy if you're comparing your life to somebody else's. So yeah. So that's basically the bottom line with that. Let me see if I can think of anything else. To have a better relationship with your mother and grandmother. Never make comments about their body, telling them they got an ugly shape or they ass is flat, they ain't got no money, calling them a broke bitch and stuff like that. I've dealt with some of this stuff in my own personal life with very disrespectful kids, and it's just a bad idea to talk to your mother that way. So Chad Watson says the world is full of selfishness and selfish people. I appreciate you opening up about this aspect of your personal life to help others, ma'am. Thank you, Chad Watson. Yeah, because like when I do this video, I'm speaking from an experience perspective. And see, I want y'all to have a better relationship with your mother. The best relationship you can have. But remember, I was able to have this better relationship because you got to go back and watch the video that I uploaded before this one. I called it Your Mother in Your Home. Sometimes to get this, when your mother and grandmother has some toxic traits about them, to get the better relationship out of your mother and grandmother, you have to do it outside of your home. You can't bring the abuse and the neglect in your home environment. My mother and grandmother behavior, y'all, needed to be fixed. And they wasn't going to let me run them and tell them that they had to fix it. My mother and grandmother felt like they the boss. It's hard to have a better relationship with somebody that feels like they're just the boss. They're not willing to change anything because they just feel like they're the complete boss of a situation. Again, Chad Watson, thank you for the comments. Thank you so much for the comments and the likes. Oh, another thing I just thought about is being consistent, right? So being very consistent will help. No problem, Chad Watson. Thank you for saying you're welcome. Oh, and another way to have a better relationship with your mother and grandmother, just apologize. You know, if they look a little sad about something you said, just apologize. Give them a hug. You know, remember they're girls. Try to bring out the sweeter side, if you know what I mean. Horrific situation. Like one mother shot the little grandbaby, the newborn grandbaby. Um yeah, if you got a situation like that, you want to peep the signs before it happens. You got to recognize when your mother or grandmother is out they freaking mind, y'all. You got to know if I got a mother or grandmother that's going to shoot my newborn, I need to figure that out before that happen, y'all. To have a better relationship with your mother and grandmother, you got to know when they out they mind too. Because some situations are very extreme, y'all. Very, very extreme. So in those kind of cases, that's what you want to do. To have a better relationship with your mother and grandmother, have your own life. That's what I always had, even to this day. I have a better relationship with pretty much everybody because I got something to do. I have my own hobbies, my own life, and my own list of things I need to do, y'all. So I'm gonna end this video. Does anyone have any questions? Because I answer questions for free. So if you have a question, I'll give it a minute. So any question that you have, it doesn't have to be about a mother and grandmother. Any question you want to ask, I'll answer it for free. Just ask it, and I don't mind answering it. Okay. Okay, Chad Watson says my grandma was consistent. She checked on so many people, wrote letters, and called. It was just her nature. Now that she's passed, so many family and friends are still lost without her and still miss her. Yep, I'm from Missouri, Chad Watson. Yeah, and so you had an excellent grandmother. See, your grandmother, she had that emotional piece. Um, she never wrote me a letter and barely called me. That's how my grandmother was mad because I left St. Louis. She was in some ways kind of neglectful and mean emotionally. So you had a more emotionally Chad Watson had a more emotionally stable grandmother. My grandmother was a businesswoman, y'all. Like me being on this channel, I'm taking on some of my grandmother business traits. My grandmother's talent was knowing how to get up and run a business and make money. And so that's what I do. I get up and I do things like come on this channel. So me being on this channel, that's a trait that I learned from my grandmother. My grandmother may not have been all emotionally there like Chad Watson grandmother was, but my grandmother, I know for sure if my grandmother can run a restaurant, I can start a YouTube channel with my 710 subscribers and my 110,000 views. But my grandmother would have went and got her YouTube money, y'all. That's where I'm bad at. My grandmother had more of like a get her money type spirit. I'm monetized and still don't know where my YouTube check is. My grandmother wouldn't have did that. She would have been had her check, y'all. She just wouldn't be uploading no videos without her check. So I gotta go get my check. Because to do lives, it means I'm monetized. But I'm gonna keep showing up because my grandmother taught me how to show up, so I'm grateful for that. Chad Watson, you're really blessed to have a grandmother that wrote letters, that loved y'all and was able to show love. I know my grandmother loved me, but she just wasn't emotional, and she lacked some of the ability to show it. She had a troubled relationship with her biological father that harmed her, so she struggled with the emotional side. She left Alabama and went to St. Louis brokenhearted by my great grandfather Dave. They called him Daddy Dave. I never knew him or remembered him. My grandmother went no contact with her father, and stayed no contact with him until he died, and she went to his funeral. She left the man alone. So sometimes recognizing another way to have a better relationship with your mother and grandmothers is to understand some of the trauma they went through, and just recognize that it happened, and recognizing that they did the best that they could do. So, yep, I am from Missouri, Chad Watson. I'm very grateful to have been born and raised in Missouri, even though I'm on the West Coast now. It's always going to be a part of who I am, and I love having that part of who I am. Being grateful, I have a better relationship with my mother and grandmother because I'm grateful that they raised me there. I'm grateful to have known them, bad or good. I'm just grateful for that. So be grateful, okay? So anyway, I do have a St. Louis accent, Chad Watson. I absolutely do. That's not true. My St. Louis accent is very much here. You know how I know? On the West Coast, they always say, "Where are you from?" So I have to tell them where I'm from. Yeah, but you have a right to your opinion. But my St. Louis accent is definitely there. It's there for sure. What kind of accent do you think I have, Chad Watson? Let me get your opinion on this. I have a little mixture in my tone. My St. Louis, Missouri accent, I've been on the West Coast too. But my St. Louis accent ain't went nowhere. Because right now, to this very day, every year, somebody on the West Coast asks me, "Where am I from?" And I say St. Louis, Missouri. And they say that makes sense. But thank you so much. St. Louis people have a certain properness to them, y'all. If you really engage with talking to St. Louis people, I don't know what you kind of expecting for a St. Louis person to have, Chad Watson, but I have a St. Louis accent, that's for sure. My voice, just my voice alone, how my voice itself sounds, that's my St. Louis tone. The pitch of my voice, the tone of my voice, it's all the way St. Louis. I got cousins in St. Louis, female cousins. My cousin Buzzy was just telling me today how much sometimes I sound like his mama, and she still live in St. Louis. So my St. Louis accent is still there, because if it wasn't, another person in St. Louis wouldn't be telling me how much I sound like their mom. So it's still there. But everybody has a right to their opinion. But I know my St. Louis accent is still there. Because like I said, people on the West Coast, they always want to know where I'm from. Even when I'm making business phone calls, they be like, "If you don't mind me asking, where are you from?" And when I say St. Louis, Missouri, they say that makes sense. So that's all. So I love y'all. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I appreciate y'all so much. And hopefully this helped you to have a better relationship with your grandmother and your mother, And I'm very grateful for everything, especially the fact that I was born and raised in St. Louis, and they raised me in St. Louis until I moved to the West Coast when I was a young woman. So again, please like, share, and subscribe, and I appreciate y'all so much. Thank you. Bye. Take care. Any more questions before I close out? Chad Watson, thank you so much for participating so much in the live. Please like and subscribe. Chad Watson and everyone that left a comment, I would love to have you back. Bye, Chad Watson. Oh, Chad Watson, you never did answer my question. Where does it sound like I'm from? Since you didn't think it was a St. Louis accent. Where does it sound like I'm from? I'm just curious to know. Does it sound like I'm from like California, the West Coast? Does it sound like that? Because if so, that makes sense too. Because that's where I live. Shoot, I'm not in St. Louis no more. I'm on the West Coast. Chad Watson, what you hear that Snoop Doggy Dogg accent or something? Let me stop. Wait a minute. Chad Watson say my accent is coming out. Yeah. Cause you silly. Yeah, cause I said, do I sound like Snoop Doggy Dogg or something? Yeah, cause you know what? This is the thing with a St. Louis person. So I want my message to be clear. And that's true. When I kind of like get into my humor, you got to watch my other lives and videos, right? Now, when I get into my humor, this is where you hear my St. Louis part. Is when I get mad and I'm joking. That's where all my relatives is coming out of me, right? And that's where my St. Louis part come in. So when I get where I'm not so serious, because you know when I'm doing this video, I'm in like professional mode. So you're gonna get that St. Louis side, like that real estate agent St. Louis side. So like when I'm coming into the video, you're gonna get that professional side because I have to give the message appropriately, and I want people to understand what I'm saying. But then, you know, as I relax a little bit, oh my God, and don't make me mad. Where like the police have to come. The first thing the police be like, excuse me, man, where are you from? Then you tell them where you from, and then like 15 to 40 officers line up, right? They really, man, when you tell somebody on the West Coast you from St. Louis when you get mad, they be like real scared. For real. They're like scared. I'm like, my goodness, I thought I was from a good place in St. Louis. But yeah, on the West Coast, they scared the death of a St. Louis person, for real. So, yes, when I relax and stuff. And then, you know, as you get to hear the video and stuff more and more, and, you know, the video has been over an hour. So, thank you, Chad Watson. But yeah, I was joking, but, you know, on the West Coast, you got certain rappers and stuff, and Snoop Doggy Dogg and stuff. And so what I was saying is basically, if you heard that more of an accent, like say if you hear like some California in me or something, I have been on the West Coast a very long time. But thank you, Chad Watson, for saying it's coming out. Because, yeah, but I appreciate you. So welcome back, and please subscribe, Chad Watson. We need some more positive people here, because I got this one disturbed young lady. She's like 22 years old. Her name is like Ruru Glizzy Doo. I done already cussed her out on one of my lives. And but I'm trying to be cool with her. I don't like blocking people, especially when I know the Lord sent them here. So, yeah, I just appreciate all the positive stuff. Oh, wait a minute. Chad Watson said you have a great speaking voice, clear and succinct English. Oh, thank you. Thank you. And you know what? For me, I'm gonna point this out too. I was raised by some very educated people in St. Louis. So I was not raised in the projects in St. Louis. So I was raised around my grandmother's restaurant. A lot of famous people came in. Um, I've been around Luther Vandross, Neil Carter, Bill Cosby, um, some of the most famous people, Gregory Hines. So I was raised in a business environment. I wasn't raised in the projects. Even my friends that was raised in the projects, they sound very proper. And there, with St. Louis, Missouri, there's this properness that we have, but there's this country southern slur that we have as well. So really, the St. Louis accent is very diverse, and it's a combination of things. Like even when I be listening to my cousin Buzzy and his accent, you can hear the southernness, but then there's this properness with it too. That's just there. So there's a lot of prominent black people in St. Louis, Missouri. And ever since I was a little girl, I was just an English person. So thank you so much, Chad Watson, for saying that I have a good speaking voice and it's clear and succinct English. So I appreciate that. I like that word, succinct. I just learned a new word. Yeah, so Chad Watson, you're right. Yeah, absolutely. I grew up in a financially stable environment. Yes. My grandmother was a rich, wealthy lady with a cash register where she counted thousands and thousands of dollars a day. So yes, I grew up in a financially stable environment with education as the stalemate. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? I'm gonna just compliment that St. Louis grammar because, even in St. Louis, when we would visit the projects and have games and stuff and stuff like that, some of the grammar and the great speaking of, especially the black males back then in St. Louis, Missouri. Oh my goodness, they had some of the most beautiful voices and English. I'm gonna be honest with you. As far as like knowing like big words and certain having an expanded vocabulary, St. Louis people and people from St. Louis, Missouri, they have more of that than these people on the West Coast. For real, I'm serious. That's just a compliment to where I'm from. I really feel that way. I do. So anyway, please like, share, and subscribe. And Chad Watson, thank you so much and welcome back again. Whenever you're always welcomed here. I've been doing lives like every day, pretty much on an average, once, twice a day or whatever. And I just think of subject matters and I just go ahead and just start these lives. So anyway, thank you so much, especially to Chad Watson. Have a great night, gentlemen. And I appreciate you so much. I wanted to ask you where you're from, but you may not want other people to know that. So I kind of respect your privacy being a commenter. So if you don't want people to know where you're from, that's fine. But I did want to ask, but I don't want to. Oh, you from Georgia? I got a cousin down in Georgia, Chad Watson. Yeah, she lives in Atlanta. She came here last summer to visit. Not the summer, actually it was before the summer, like around March. We went to the Malcolm X opera. The tickets was like $100 each. Oh, you in Atlanta, Georgia right now? Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, my cousin. Oh my goodness. I had warned my cousin before she came up here about the racism on the West Coast with the white people. Oh man, she wasn't buying it, boy. She bought that Atlanta, Georgia style up here. My cousin, she taller than me too. She went in the bathroom. The white people was like being discriminatory towards us after we had bought food and stuff. My cousin went in that bathroom and came out, and she went the hell off on them white people. I was like, look, y'all got her riled up now. Yeah, but my cousin don't play that. Oh my God. I was so happy she checked the shit out of these white people here. Especially these type of white people, the ones that's discriminating. Not the good white people. You know, there's good white people. But yeah, my cousin, she don't play that. And she's been in Atlanta for a long, long time. Okay, Chad Watson, you're a truck driver. You've been driving since 2010. Congratulations. Yeah, that's a good job to have, being able to travel like that. And you have a lot of freedom in that job as well, Chad. That's a really good job. Pays good money too. I used to be an Uber driver. I miss driving for Uber. I want to start doing that one day. My cousin, he has a driving job as well. So yeah, so thank you so much, and I hope things are going good for you in Atlanta, Georgia, Chad Watson. I want to go down there and visit one day as well, but I really enjoyed having my cousin here, and she's originally from St. Louis, Missouri, but then she moved to Atlanta, Georgia. We did this online financial class with her, and I really enjoyed the class. Um, what was the name of it? I wrote it down. Teaching you like better budgeting and how to save and stuff like that. You're from Atlanta and from, let me see. Chad Watson says, I'm not from Atlanta, I'm from Southwest Georgia. Oh, okay. Yeah, they're different areas. That makes sense. Yeah. Because, you know, it's totally different. Even though, like, Georgia is the state, there's a difference between Southwest Georgia and Atlanta. I get it. So, I had a friend that moved down to Atlanta, but she ended up coming back to the West Coast like many, many years later. I know in Atlanta, you definitely got to have a car. In Georgia, period, you need a car, huh? But my cousin, she really loves it there. She's been there a long time, and she seems to live a great life down there. She has a lot of freedom, you know. Never been married, never had kids. She has the ultimate freedom, y'all. And I respect my cousin a lot, and I was so happy when my cousin Jackie came here last March. And we had so much fun at the oh, I like that, Chad Watson. You need a car if you're an adult. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. You need a car and some money in the bank if you're an adult. That's true. But it's like some states, Chad Watson, you don't have a choice at all. Because, you know, like on the West Coast where I'm at, you can make it without a car. I mean, you're going to have to catch Uber. You know, sometimes you're going to need more, you know, but in general, where I'm at, you can actually make it without a vehicle and catch the bus. You really can. But hold on one second. I'm just updating these, looking at these, reading these comments. Yeah, but I agree with that, you know, that you need a car if you're an adult. But the rents are getting so high, the rents and mortgages are so high. A lot of times people are going without it, and they just catching Uber and catching a bus or using other forms of transportation. So yeah. But a man, you a real man, so you feel like I need a car. That's how men think. They have to have a car because they have to be in control. Um So Chad Watson says, catch the city transportation, um, walk, better yet, hang glide. Oh, that's cute. Some of my relatives, they bus it. You know, I got relatives that are everywhere people drive in their car. My relatives are walk to work, right? And they got that normal body weight to show for it, y'all. It's an advantage to be on foot or on that bike, y'all. You're not gonna be overweight, you're not gonna be obese or morbidly obese. Speaking of obesity, Google average weight and go to that rush.edu calendar and scroll down, and it'll give you all the 3 categories of weights for your height. Yeah, amen, Chad Watson. It's very healthy to walk. I like my 9-mile walks. When I walk, it helps free me of asthma attacks, y'all. That's one of the ways I fight asthma is through walking. Oh, every video I do, you know why I'm not showing the camera right now? Despite the fact I have like a makeshift studio, I stand. Every video I do, I stand. I never sit when I'm doing my videos. I'm standing right now. So that means I have been standing an hour and a half. I burn off so many calories. So many calories. So I'm going to end this video. Thank you, Chad Watson, for staying in here and not leaving me and leaving the channel. And welcome back. I look forward to you coming back into one of the lives. And you're always welcome to leave a comment even after the video is over. So if you think of something else and you want to leave a comment, I love to have positive people in here. Because like that Ruru Glizzy dude, she's something else, y'all. She's very toxic, but she's getting a little better. So it's just such a breath of fresh air to have someone as positive as Chad Watson in this live. So may the Lord bless you, Chad Watson. And you have a blessed day as well. And I'll see you on the next live, okay? So welcome back to the Advanced Insight channel. Oh, and let me point this out. One reason I named my channel the Advanced Insight channel is because the Advanced Insight comes from y'all too. It's not a thing where I'm just bringing it here. Y'all bringing it here too. Because this is more of like a team spirit type channel. It's like a team. It's not like this my channel, I'm in control. Oh, and thank you so much for the praying hands, Chad Watson. And I like the fact that those are brown praying hands. I like the brown praying hands. Very blessed. So thank you so much for posting the praying hands. So I'll end this with the Lord's Prayer. So our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Lord, you are also the most gracious and merciful, and we repent of all of our sins. And in Arabic, they would say, Allahu Akbar, which means God is the greatest. And so may everyone have a extremely blessed day, and I'll be coming back for more lives. And welcome back, Chad Watson, okay? And again, thank you so much for the praying hands. That means a lot. And may you have a blessed day, and everyone else have a blessed day. Amen. Thank you so much. I appreciate the positive support and the fact that you were able to stay in here the whole live. And sometimes if you can't stay the whole live, I also understand that when you get off work and you're in between driving, you're watching, listen whenever you can, okay? So I appreciate you so much, Chad Watson, and everyone that participated. Thank you. Bye.